Welcome back to another episode of Tractor Roy. After a little bit of a hiatus, we're here back working on this Farmall A again. As you can see, it looks a lot different than that last update video I did. Actually, it might not. I don't really remember when the last update on this thing was. Anyways, the engine's thrown back together with all new gaskets. We got our carburetor rebuilt, the manifold stuck back on. This is in ready to run condition. We've changed all the fluids in this thing. We got fresh oil in it. We got fresh coolant in here. We have our new gauges stuck on. We have the wiring ran, but as you can see, we don't have anything hooked up and terminated just yet. The issue we were running into, we pulled the spark plugs, cranked this thing over just with the starter. We had good oil pressure, so that gave us the go-ahead to keep moving on this thing. We want to make sure that we had good oil pressure, that this thing was going to turn before we try and get some ignition set up in here. Once we did that, we stuck on this original factory Fairbanks Morse distributor that was made in 1939 and early 1940. This is a early 1940 tractor. That would be why we have the Fairbanks Morse. Well, it seems like it's not quite putting out as hot of a spark as it needs to. Now, to kind of do a little proof of concept here, make sure that the rest of this engine is put together correctly, we're going to take a factory Farmall distributor. I don't remember the numbers on it. The magnetos are H4 from this time period, the International Harvester ones. The distributors, they might just be the regular Farmall distributor. Anyways, we're going to rebuild one of those so we get a fresh distributor on here. We're going to stick that on temporarily, get this thing to fire up. We're going to get it through a heat cycle with that so we can torque down that head gasket. And then we can dig back into this magneto a little farther. I've got an extra magneto laying around, so we will be able to swap parts over because I know for sure that other one's good. I was just trying to keep some original parts on this thing. Regardless, we're going to move over to our little temporary workstation and get through working on this distributor. So here are the three types of distributors or magnetos that you will see on your letter series Farmall tractor. I don't know of any other one. Well, I guess there is that, what is it, Delco Remy distributor. It looks a lot like the one on my Alice Chalmers. I'll show a picture of that right here. It could be a similar style to that, where it's a vertical instead of horizontal. This is the Farmall distributor, the International Harvester one, because it's all horizontal like this. This is the style of magneto that's on our Farmall A currently. It is a Fairbanks Morse type FMJ4B3 magneto. The case of this, as you can see, it says it's good, but we'll take that with a grain of salt. When I opened this thing up, it did look pretty good inside of there. This is the cover, the points cover and distributor cap off of the original one on the tractor. It's broken on the bottom, so I took the one that was off of this to put on that. But it looks like that other one has a weak spark. I haven't tested this one, but it says it's good, so who knows. This is the other type of magneto that's on there, or that could be on there. I think about mid-1940 and on, magnetos were this H4 International Harvester style. We're not going to be putting this one on. We might in the future, but right now we're going to work on this distributor and then probably take parts between this one and the other one. So where it's attached to the tractor, these engage to the timing gear that's on the front, or that's under the front cover. The distributors just have two holes. They're solid. This is a non-adjustable on this base. On the magnetos, you can leave these loose and you can rotate to adjust your timing, the whole housing. On these, this section stays firmly bolted and won't adjust. You can't adjust timing off of this. You adjust it off of right here. So you can take this distributor off of the distributor drive and leave this drive attached to the tractor. One thing that's kind of handy about these distributors, if you pull this off right here, then you don't have to mess with the timing advance on this side. You do have to make sure that you are either here or here, depending on, you'll be opposite. You could be on the top dead center compression stroke or top dead center of the intake exhaust stroke. So as long as you keep track of that, you won't change your timing here and you don't have to adjust that. A couple of different parts here. Like I said, this is the distributor drive housing. This is the keyway that comes out, so you want to be careful sometimes, or you want to be careful of that. This is your distributor. This is the coil. Battery power goes onto this side of the coil. It goes through the coil, comes out this side to go to your points on the underside of this. The output of your distributor, the output of your coil is right here. That goes to the center cap of your distributor cap and out to your spark plugs. So first thing, I'm going to get rid of all these wires, and they will go in the trash. Then I can pop off this cap. Underneath that cap, you'll see the rotor here. Then we got a dust cover. And then in here is where your points, oh nice, that's loose, somebody's been in here. You'll see your points right here, and your condenser is right here. It seems like the condensers don't usually go bad, and they're kind of hit or miss on the quality of the new ones these days. You can think of the condenser as basically a shock absorber for the points. It's to help with a fast make and fast break of the points connection. So if you didn't have this condenser in here, as you would open this up, that current would arc across, and as you get this bigger and bigger, you'll still have a bigger arc, a bigger spark. When things arc and spark like that, they will start to corrode and erode away your points contacts. So if you have a bad condenser, you'll wear your points out faster because there's more. Every time that thing opens and it sparks, material gets transferred between the two contact surfaces. This just helps to prevent that. It'll help like snap that spark open. It'll kill the spark before it really does any damage, I guess you could say. Points are right here. All we have to do is just take this one nut out. That's how our condenser comes unhooked. We can pull off our points that way, and then we got one screw right there. Before we get too far also on taking stuff apart and throwing it away, I want to make sure that I have enough parts. This is a genuine International Harvester distributor cap. It's pretty nasty down below, so I don't really want to reuse it, and it's not like it's worth it to us to hold on to it. But it is cool that it says International Harvester. So we got our replacement distributor cap. The dust cover doesn't usually come with this stuff. We got our replacement rotor. We have our replacement condenser with the condenser clip. And inside here we got our set of points. This was a kind of a convenient kit. It came with spark plugs too, I think was the only other thing. This is much easier to do this on the bench than it is on the tractor also. On the tractor, you kind of got to contort yourself weirdly. But if you do it on the tractor, then you don't have to worry about changing your timing up on accident. There's our condenser. Okay, that is it. We're fully taken apart. You can get new isolators right here, insulators. You can get a couple other extra parts that are in here. They might even sell this breaker plate as one piece. Sometimes this is kind of fun. Okay, your condenser slides just under there. We'll try and get this thing all attached. We set the gaps by the base right here, not the hinge piece, but the base. Okay, make sure that's tight. We'll go ahead and attach our condenser hold down bracket. There we go. Just like that, we will get the other half of our point stuck in here and loosely attached. Like so. Okay, we're going to set our point skip to 20 thousandths. So see how we're on the flat part right there? That should be closed. So we want to go until we're at a peak right there. I'll move this up. Tighten that down. Double check. And then we'll spin it to double check too. So we checked our gap at the peak. So now when we hit the valley, that flat spot on our little distributor cam, it should close. And it closes nicely. We have plenty of a gap. Our points aren't being held open. Spin it through a couple of times. I like it. So now we can stick our cap back on. This is the felt oil ring, helps lubricate that rotor. Stick our new rotor on. There we go. Now make sure you get our little alignment tab in there. Now make sure you get your little alignment tab in there. Get it locked in. And that should do it. Super easy to change points and condenser on this thing. We should be good to go now. So if we wanted to test this distributor now before we stick it on the tractor, I probably won't because I don't know, I don't feel like it. We can run power to this side and then so in this case, since it's set up as a positive ground system still, you'll bring your negative battery cable up to here. And we can connect the positive just with an alligator clip to this housing. We can stick one of our spark plug wires off the end of this coil with a spark plug on there and then just ground it to this housing. And then when you spin this thing either by hand or with a drill, every time those points close, because you're coming straight off the coil, you should be seeing a spark on that spark plug. The coils on top of these things don't generally go bad, especially this older original International Harvester style. They're pretty resilient little things, but you could use a newer style. They have different brackets, so if you put one of those new big black ones, it's like that big around, you know, you could stick that on top of this thing and you'd still be okay, or you could mount it somewhere else on this. But willing to bet that this coil is going to be good. Now that we got this thing freshened up, we can put it on this tractor. We'll time it and whatnot in the other video for when we're trying to get this thing started. But that is the basics of how to put new points, condenser, cap, and rotor in your Farmall distributor. It's pretty easy. Anybody can do it. Thanks for watching another episode of Tractor Roy. I'm glad you stuck with me. Make sure to follow along. We're getting really close to starting this thing up. Got to throw this thing on there and make sure that our gas valve's open. We should be good to go. So thanks for watching. Hope I'll catch you on the next one.